Hello everyone, welcome back to the Confident Parenting podcast or YouTube channel. If you're watching me here, my name is Julie. I'm an occupational therapist, a mom of 3, and someone who frequently solo parents on her own. And this has been a tough pill for me to swallow. It has taken me, I would say, years at this point, but definitely months and many opportunities to be by myself with my kids to finally accept that this is the reality, at least for the next little bit when my husband travels. As it stands, like, we live in one place and his job is in another state, like, I don't know, 1,000 miles away. It's weird. Like, who commutes like that? And it's not like he really commutes, but it feels like it. He's usually gone every other week for some part of the week. Sometimes he's here for 2 weeks in a row. That's a good month, but not always. And I just had to learn to accept this fact that I'm going to parent on my own, and I need to stop laying the story down, this narrative that I'm always on my own, and embrace it. So here we are, embracing it. And, you know, one of the reasons why I want to do this podcast and have this YouTube channel and why it gives me purpose, I guess, a feeling of purpose and accomplishment and service, is that I can talk about things that I struggle with. Right now, I'm about to sneeze. I can talk about things that I struggle with in the hopes that I can help you either not feel alone because we're going through this together, or if I've come up with some kind of solution or something that helps, that I can share it. So today we're going to talk about getting out the door on time with your 3 kids when you have to go to school pretty early. And I want to just give some context to the story. So I did not know this until yesterday, actually, but if our children are late for school, they have a very short window, in my opinion, to be dropped off. The traffic around their school is horrific. And it's not just me that says that. It really is objectively bad because they're doing a lot of construction. It's very close to a major arterial road and highway. People come from all over the place. We moved further away from the school. So instead of a 5-minute commute, we're now 20 minutes away. It's the price you pay to live in your own house. We were renting a house before that just happened to be close to where the school moved. So the school moved as well. And then we moved away from the school, but whatever. It is what it is. So I learned yesterday that there is a tracking system. When your child is late, they have to go through a separate entrance and they put like a little check next to their name that they were late. And I think it's just for the school to track because they start classes on time. I know they're trying to create a culture of punctuality. I get it. But the check mark really shouldn't be next to the child's name. It should be next to mine because my child is late because of me, ultimately, not really because of them, but it's fine. How else would they track it, I guess? But if you are late more than 3 times in a row, I think you get some kind of like warning or something. So luckily that hasn't happened. I've broken the cycle because yesterday, because of my little one sleeping late, which she never does, but of course she decides to sleep later when my husband is not here. Like, in sort of rare circumstances, we'll split up and he will take the 2 older ones who start school sooner at a different location, and I'll take her. And because she's only 3, you know, she has a much more generous drop-off time and she can get to school by 8:30, which is still kind of early, but my other ones have to be at school by 8:10, and I didn't realize how serious this was. I literally got to the drop-off spot at 8:10, turned to 8:11, and they closed that door like they said they would. So they're taking accountability and they're being responsible for their decisions. And then the kids have to go around a different way, and that's where they get like a little check against their name, which I didn't even know was a thing until I looked in an app, because that's how schools work these days. Anyway, my little one slept much later, to the point where I had to wake her up. And I was prepared to wake her up, put her in her pajamas in the car, because obviously I can't leave her at home, and then take her clothes, her school clothes, in a bag and dress her on the side of the road, which I have done before, let me tell you, in the parking. Well, it wasn't even in a parking lot. It was literally, I was parked on the side of the road and I was dressing her because in that case, she wouldn't get dressed. Anyway, I didn't realize how strict this was, and I don't like my children getting check marks next to their name. Like, who does that? But really, it's a check mark for me. I don't want to get a check mark next to my name either. And so we were 1 minute late for school. Okay. And I was reflecting on that, and anyway, we'll get to that. But this spurred this whole conversation because had my little one not slept longer, and I just hate waking her up. Like, if she's sleeping late, she was dead asleep. I opened the curtains, I moved her blanket, she was dead asleep. It wasn't like she was getting ready to wake up. She probably would have slept for another 30 minutes or something. I don't know. Anyway, and it's a Monday after a weekend, she's sort of in this phase where she should maybe nap, but she doesn't nap because she's 3.5 almost. It's a tricky stage if you have kids this age, or the struggle. So she's trying to keep up with the older one, so she's tired, and she decided Monday morning was the time to catch up on sleeping. Anyway, we were late, and I learned my lesson, and I reflected on it, and so I want to go through some of the things that have really helped me to stay on time, because today we were early, we were on time. I didn't feel stressed. That's the thing. I usually feel like a chaotic nut, and I have changed a bunch of things that I think will help us going forward. And the fact that we were 1 minute late was just, unfortunate. 3-year-old doesn't usually sleep late, but it also reminded me that kids have to be up at a certain time, otherwise we won't get out the door. So that's part of the problem. So if you're in a situation like me where you also have an early drop-off for your kids, and maybe they don't really want to go to school that early, they should be sleeping, etc., and you want to make mornings go smoother, because honestly, I tell everyone in my family, and my close friends, mornings are my worst, especially when I'm alone. Primarily when my husband is not here, because he does a lot of it, or we share it, and he gets up first usually, which is really nice. Anyway, we've gotten into this dynamic where, because he travels a lot, I will go when he's traveling. And then when he comes home, I'm so dead that I'm awake, but I sort of stay in bed a little bit longer, and he gets up earlier and starts preparing things. But I need to be able to do this on my own, and I need to be able to do this without the stressful piece. So today was a much better day. Everyone was on time. It felt really good. I got home at a reasonable time. I could start working and doing stuff and checking things off my list, and just getting my part of the day started without them, so I can be productive until I pick them up again. And yeah, I want to go through it. So here we go. Here are my tips. Prep absolutely everything you can, more than you think you can, the night before. So this is where we were running into issues, is that where I typically run into issues is that I was doing a lot of it on the morning of, and that's not going to work. You have limited time, energy, the whole thing. You do not want to be rushing around like a crazy lady chicken without a head, which is how I usually am with my kids. You need to factor in kid time, which means they're just dawdling and just, doing their own thing. They're in la la land. You need to have everything prepped. So this is what I do. And what really helped me. So Sunday, my husband left, and because we were just the 4 of us, I was able to do dinner and sort of shower bath earlier, which means I can wash their clothes earlier, and I can clean up dinner and everything earlier. Because what I've been finding is that when we do dinner later and then I put the dishwasher on, then I go to bed before I unpack it, then I want to unpack it the next morning. This is just all extra stuff I don't need to do. So if I can run the dishwasher, I run it on express wash, which I don't know how long that is, 30 minutes or something. I think they get the dishes clean enough. My husband disagrees with me, and he always puts normal heavy wash. If we don't have too many dishes, I do express wash, okay? So then that means I'm still going to be awake when it's done, around maybe 8:30 or 9, and I can unpack it quickly, and it doesn't take long, but it's much better to do the night before than the morning of. There's that. I run a load of laundry. Sunday night, maybe not as critical because they wear a school uniform and they're not going to have worn a school uniform on Sunday that I'm washing for the next day. But I just like to have the washing done, because the point is, if I don't do the laundry and fold it and put it away, dry it, fold it, put it away on the Sunday night, I'm going to do that on Monday morning before they go to school, when I should be getting them ready for school. Okay, I'm going to get to that in a second. So I run a load of laundry, do the dishes. I tidy the kitchen as much as possible. If I can, I set out their school clothes, definitely. And because they wear a uniform, I kind of know what they're going to wear. I set out their lunch boxes. I set out their backpacks. My one child has school lunch, so then I just put a water bottle for her in her backpack. And what I did yesterday for this morning was that I filled up her water bottle, and I put it in the car ready to go. I like to have the water bottles kind of air, but one night is fine. So I'll let it air when she gets home today. The others, I have to pack school lunch at home. So I don't put their lunch in the car. I do that in the morning. What else? Something else that I've been doing is they have a lot of extracurriculars. I pack that the night before. So for example, my daughter today has a Halloween or a costume inspired ballet class. And I don't want to forget that because I know what's going to happen. I'm rushing to pick them up. I'm going to take rushing out of my vocabulary. I'm going to be getting ready to pick them up, and then either I'm going to forget that she needs, I'll remember the ballet bag, but now she needs an actual costume to go with this. So I packed that all in the car last night. The same if my kids have another, like a sport after school or swim or something like that, I'm going to have all of that ready to go so that it's like less trips to the car back and forth, because I can't carry everything in one go. So the more I can pack the car ahead of time, the better. It can also be non-school related stuff. So on Monday, I had a bunch of donations to drop off. I put all of them in the boot trunk of my car. I had a package that I needed to drop off. Like all of these things, anything that I can do the night before when it's not stressful, I usually put on a podcast. It's great. I pack everything while I'm listening to something that I find inspiring. It's like my best time of day versus the morning, which is my worst. So I'm trying to make my morning less of my worst time of day and make my nights productive. Then I set out their water bottles next to the water cooler or whatever, the filter, wherever you're going to fill them up, have that ready to go, set out their lunch boxes, anything that they need. I've now learned when library day is, so I just have their books ready to go, because then we forget the library books, and I don't want to be that person. I'm trying to be a good citizen of the school, and a lot of this falls on my shoulders, so I'm trying my best. Okay, so then some general tips that help me have a more streamlined morning. I get myself ready first. So I find, not just for school, but in general, when we're trying to all get out the door, mom is always lost. I'm always lost to get dressed, to get ready, to brush my teeth. And it's not because I'm not doing anything, okay? I'm doing everybody else. I'm getting everybody else's ready. I'm doing everybody else's hair, everybody else's sunscreen, finding shoes. Especially the little one, getting her dressed, or getting the other ones to get themselves dressed, all the things. So I have found that if I can, I set out some clothes the night before, whatever. I kind of wear the same stuff, so it's not a big deal for me. But depending on what the weather's going to be like, usually hot, I set out some clothes just so that, like, part of me is like, I could just wear my pajamas to drop them off. But what if I needed to get out the car for some reason? I just think it's a good practice to get dressed. For the most part in the morning, I don't really need to get out of my car. But if I'm going to drop them off and then go somewhere else, I will need to get out of my car. So I like to just have the option. So I do put on real clothes. I don't do anything too crazy. I brush my teeth so they don't feel like a carpet is in my mouth. And what else do I do? Put on some moisturizer. I don't necessarily put on makeup or whatever, but I just need to get myself presentable. I don't have to be like fashion shoot ready. I just need to be presentable. Okay. But I get myself ready. And then I keep breakfast super simple in the morning. I don't personally really eat breakfast that early, but I know they will be hungry. All of them are different. So some of them will want to eat something. Some of them want to eat something else. I try and make food that I could eat if they don't eat it. I hate wasting food. So maybe some toast. I usually boil an egg for my little one. So the little one will eat a boiled egg. The other ones won't really. My son will eat avocado toast. If the avocados are not ripe and they're hard as rocks, then he'll eat cream cheese toast. The middle one, she sometimes eats food, sometimes doesn't. And then if I don't make her food, she'll ask. It's like a bit of a nightmare. So I usually just toast some toast. Someone will eat it at some point, and one will have butter on and one will have cream cheese. It's super simple. It's not fancy. I'm not trying to set them up for disaster, which I'm going to get to in a second. But I just offer breakfast. Like today, I put out a banana and my 9-year-old ate it. He doesn't normally. Who knew? So I sometimes just putting the food there and not saying anything, having no expectation. Great. Okay. And then my little one, I let her have some toast and her boiled egg. She ate it in the car because that's just how we've done it, even though I swore I would never have food in the car. But it's quite a long trip. It's early. We're just doing what we're going to do. She has to come earlier because she has to come with me with them. Otherwise, I would be able to leave later if it was just her, Sacrifices have to be made. Getting myself a car vacuum cleaner for Christmas. Note to self. As I said, setting my kids up for success. Now, some things that mistakes I've made in the past is I have tried to make early morning before school a lesson, a learning opportunity. No. Dumb. I'm the one doing the learning. And by that, I would ask them to open the cupboards, the curtains, the blinds. I would ask them to pack the car. I would ask them to help, which I think is good in theory, but not in a high stress environment. I need to teach them to do these things when when the clock is not ticking and it is not exponentially quicker for me to do this. So I have now shifted my philosophy to I'm going to pack the car. I will fill up the water bottles. I will open the blinds. I'm not going to waste my energy asking them to do a task over and over again, which they're not going to think to do. Maybe I'll change my mind on this, but as they get older, that's different. It's just going to take them a lot longer. It stresses me out. It stresses them out. They don't like to be late. I don't want them to be late. So I've just taken that on. And what I've done instead is I recognize in myself that I have a little bit of an obsessive personality, a little type A, a little mom thing going on where I see things and I want to come home to a mostly put together house. And if that is the case, then I need to factor that time in. And so for me, a mostly put together house is all of the beds are made, all of the curtains are open. I wake up the house. I open the windows that can open. I switch off the lights outside if I need to, like if we've got Christmas lights or Halloween or something. I tidy up the kitchen. Like maybe I just put the dishes in the sink if I have time to wash them. Wow, that's incredible. Or I put them in the dishwasher. I don't expect my kids to do this anymore because it is not going to work. And I noticed with my husband, the reason why he gets them out on time is because he leaves all of that. This bothers me. I don't like coming home and now having to clean it all up, even though I can. But if I have the time and I've done everything else, I'm going to factor that in so that when I come home, 95% of it is done. Like today I left a few food bits out because I'll pack that up when I get back. But for the most part, the house was like ready to go for the day. And we have lots of builders and workers and things here because we're renovating. And so when I got back, there was a guy in my kitchen who had moved a bunch of things and was putting up plastic to protect the kitchen backsplash, so who knows what's going to happen. Every day is new, every day is different, every day is an adventure. But I think not having that expectation that young kids are going to suddenly become the most helpful creatures alive has really helped and made me just so much happier because I can do things a lot quicker than they can. I know what needs to be done. I don't need to tell myself to do it 10 million times. Just get it done. Now is not the time for teaching lessons is really my advice and my lesson that I have learned. And then another thing that's really helped me is wear a watch. I've been doing this for a while, but it really helps me stay on track. I can just look at the time quickly. For many, many years, I did not wear a watch. And now it's become critical because we do have clocks around, but having a watch for me is just really helpful to keep me on task and me on target. It's 7:20. All right, we should be getting ready to get in the car and, it can be done. It can be done. And then something else, some other tips. I need to get everybody up by a certain time. My husband feels like 7 o'clock is the right time to get them up in order to leave by sort of 7:25, 7:30, gives them enough time to wake up. So I kind of use that as a loose guide. If no one is up by 7, I start waking them up. I don't like waking up my children. It feels like it's going against every value that I've ever espoused. Do not wake a sleeping baby, even when they're 9 years old. Usually they are up, but sometimes they're not. And I have learned and been burned time again when they don't wake up by a certain amount of time, we're not going to get out the door on time. And that is exactly what happened yesterday. But that was extreme. She was still not awake at 7:35. I think I woke her up at 7:40 or something. Anyway, okay. And then, another tip. Do not be on your phone right here. Do not be on your phone in the morning. You do not have time to be responding to messages. That can happen if you somehow find yourself in a lull where you've done everything you need to do and you've got a bit of extra time. Sure, go for it. Reward yourself. Check what's going on in case you do need, to know. Get directions for where you're going, whatever. But don't waste time doing things that are not important for then. They can wait a little bit until you have kind of conquered this task. So the same with my kids, they want to read their books and everything. And I love that for them. Again, just how I don't wake a sleeping child, I would never disturb my child from reading a book, but they can't be reading a book at 7:15 still in their pajamas when we need to leave at 7:25. The math doesn't math. They cannot be doing that. And I cannot be on my phone or reading a book or whatever. I'm certainly not reading a book in the morning, but I could get locked in my phone, especially just a side note, because my family, we're all on different time zones. I'm the last one to wake up. So they're texting in the morning already for me and I want to respond. Anyway, you know how it is. Second to last thing, if you can, get them into the car and then go back in the house and finish what you need to be doing. So get them in the car where they're strapped in, they're waiting for you. They can't go and mess things up, especially if you have little ones, or in a stroller. Like in New York, we would have been in the stroller. They're in the stroller waiting for me. Then you can go inside, go to the bathroom by yourself, get your shoes, just like do a quick survey that you have everything. You're much less likely to lose things or forget something if your kids are kind of out of the way, so you can really focus, because it's so stimulating and like overwhelming in the morning and chaotic. So I like to just put them in the car, go back inside, make sure I've like switched off lights, locked up things, whatever I need to do. And then I get in the car and put myself in the car last. Yeah. And then the very last thing is, if you find that you are running late, try and analyze the situation and see where you are falling short. So for me, yesterday, it was the case of waking up my 3-year-old too late. And maybe I should have just put her in the car and then dressed her on the side of the road. I just really didn't want to do that. I've done that before and it's really not ideal. And she was letting me dress her. So I was like, great. And we were still doing well for time, but like with traffic, it's unpredictable. And as I said, we were like a minute late. So had a traffic light changed a minute earlier, or had I taken a slightly different route, we probably wouldn't have been late. We would have been very, very close, but we wouldn't have been late. So it was just unfortunate, but it was a great lesson for me to analyze and like think about what I can do better. Another thing that I've spoken about in the past, like that I've reflected on rather in the past, is this idea of, you know, just doing the stuff for them in the morning and we can learn lessons later. That's been a really big one for me. So analyze where you're falling short, where the hiccups are, what is causing you to be late, and then see if you can change a few things about that and factor it in. So that is my rant about how to get out the door on time. Look, I've only done it perfectly a couple of times. I wouldn't even say perfectly. I mean, it wasn't perfect. There was still stuff coming when I came home that I needed to sort out, but it was so much less stressful and so much better. And I felt so proud of myself, because this is something that my husband and I kind of go back and forth on a lot. You can also just imagine the situation where I'm calling him, he's in some other city on some other time zone, or he's not answering me, and I'm just like down on myself for being so bad at this and not being able to do it properly. And it just felt really good that I finally sort of hacked myself a little bit and I could figure out a little bit better how to do this, because I need to be able to do this all the time. And it's good. Anyway, so I'm proud of myself that I was able to get them to school on time. They want to be at school early. So yeah, I feel like it was a win. Anyway, I hope this video is helpful. If it was, please give this video a thumbs up so that I know to make more of these sort of practical mom hack videos for you. You guys seem to enjoy them, so I want to keep making them for you. And I really want to work on things that I struggle with and see if I can come up with solutions to help you guys, because probably I'm not the only one. Like one of the things is meals and how I plan meals and make sure my kids are actually eating real food. That's a video that I want to do. So if that is something that's interesting to you, make sure you subscribe, like, share, do all the things. And I can't wait to see you in my next video. Bye.